I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Dungeon Meshi Season 1, Episode 3. Meat cannot replace bread. Bread cannot replace meat. But combine them and they can be quite delicious, as it is with meals and people. Love it.
Profound.
I wonder if we're going to have different combinations of, collaboration going forward. Not just some stealth and figuring out traps as well as cooking, but more like I'm excited for a more direct magic and cooking, collaboration. We got a little bit of it last episode in terms of, approaching it this way could do this for the meal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if you could just use spells inherently to add to cooking.
Or using a certain spell in order to defeat a beast could, in fact, roast it or do something to it.
Yeah.
That would make the monster more tasty.
I'm thinking, are there spells that you can sweeten things? Are there spells that you can take the bitterness out of things? Are there spells that you can decrease the caloric intake or make into Senshi has a very steadfast reasoning and message in terms of how you should go about eating your meals and the balance, within that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you could use magic to add more nutritional benefits to certain food. Yeah, that's where I'm at. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
I could just have that little mushroom keep walking for a while.
I feel like it'd be a really good be right back card or scene for a streamer. That's true.
Ooh, dead end? Nope.
There you go.
そういえばここに繋がってるんだっけ。
結構時間短縮になったな。あれ？
どうした？
スバのところの最後に。
棒に扱うから。
Cool.
俺のせい？
ずいぶん前から取れかかっていたんだ。
ないとまずい部分なのか？
いや、全く。
思い出の品だったり？
思い出といえばそうなんだが。
Flashback?
3年前。まだ駆け出しだった頃。
Look at them.
Gold strippers.
昔この城は全面金に覆われてて、それを剥ぐのが儲かったんだよ。
ここいらもあらかた剥いでしまったな。城内に何かないか見てみよう。
私たちの腕じゃまだ城内は危ないんじゃ。
だが2人で引き返すのも無理だろう。
Gotta press forward.
What if they were the only ones to survive?
なんだありゃ。ひでえもんだ。
完全に朽ち果ててるな。
死ぬと発見されずこうなっちまうってことか。
おい、こっち来てみろよ。
こいつなら売り物になるんじゃないか。
They look a lot like they could wake up any second.
Oh, shit! Oh, we took one of their swords.
So not all of them are alive?
Oh!
言うようなことがあった。その時の剣がこれ。
負けてんじゃん。
初めての死亡だ。
This is
My
my
first
first death.
death.
しばらくは鎧を見るだけでも恐ろしかったよ。どんな味がするんだろう。戦士ならどうやって調理する？
鎧がくれるわけだろ。
動く鎧は魔法で操られてるだけで。
てるが、留め具の皮
Oh my god.
That's a little too desperate.
食べるのは困難だし。
行くよ。
He's so upset.
If this was like a video game, you'd be walking into that room and then they'd all turn and look at you.
あいつら足は遅いから。
いけそうか？みんな。
大丈夫。
せーの。
Oh.
Let's go, Senshi!
Really? Only one though? How do you defeat it?
I think you just gotta get out of the room, no?
完全に行く手を塞がれてるんですけど、これダメだわ。一旦引き返して体勢を整えよう。退却。
妙にしつこいな。何か機嫌を損ねてしまったのか。
まさか体調や気分なんて存在しない。
What if they're upset that you have one of their
だからこ
swords?
そ操ってるやつを倒せれば簡単なんだけど。
いつもは近づいた人間を攻撃するだけなのに、こう妨害されたな。
Is what's controlling them behind the door?
先にある何かを守っているとは考えられないか。
操ってるやつが近くにいる。確かにそれはあり得るかも。
動く鎧を操っている魔法使いに接触すれば動きを封じられるかもしれないと。3人がおとりになって引きつけている間に1人が扉の先に行くとか。
Who volunteers?
頑張れよ。準備はいいか？
よっしゃー、行くぞー。鎧どもこっちに来いや。
慌てるな。
I fear.
Nice. Whoa.
Like the ultimate knight.
That's a cool sword.
血にも動く鎧。このタイプの鎧が動くのは
It's
初
like
めて見た
boss level living armor.
操っているやつはいないようだが、でも強そう。
What gives you that impression?
応援を呼ぶわけにもいかないし。
Do you think if you defeat that one, the others die? There still has to be somebody controlling it.
突き止めないと。
Maybe there's someone actually in there. You know?
Yeah.
It's a real person.
腕か足を落として動きを。
Oh, you gotta take his sword now, somehow.
Just don't die for it this time. Is it not hollow?
なんで今盾をかわ。
Protecting its shield.
俺は
Is that like an egg sac? Like a silk,
盾
like
に何かついてる。
spider
なんだ
egg?
ろう。見覚えがある。
Whoa, cool art.
あれは
What?
乱傷。何かの生き物の卵。
動く鎧には目や耳がないんだから。
いや、ずっと違和感があった。身のない無機物が頭を拾って元に戻す動作。
Yeah.
首を動かしてこちらの動きを追う仕草。そして卵。間違いない。こいつは生き物だ。誰に命じられてるわけでもない。本能に基づいて行動し、だったらいくらでも倒し方があ
We
る。
can eat them!
そして食える。
Woo! Everyone else is gonna be so excited to hear this.
キリがねえな。マジかよ。
Oh no.
Ooh.
早くこの鎧たちをなんとかして。
頭を落とそうが死なない動くよ。だが生き物なら必ず殺せる。体液の流出、窒息、時間のかかるものは現実的じゃない。まず中に潜む生き物がどんな形をしているのか。
Oh my
slime?
god, I was about to say the slime, the organ. Yeah, okay, so we're
規
imagining.
則的すぎる。だが物音がしないから考えにくい。あるいは手足の長い生き物が奥に潜み操っているとか。他にもあるかもしれないが、実際に確認した方が早いか。卵のついた盾を狙って隙を作る。取った。中身
Where is it?
首を拾うのは擬態行動なのか。
for appearances.
まずい。次の手を。え、俺が
Can't see without it.
どの場所に隠れたか見えてなかったのか。やはり頭に何か隙間。
What?
軟体生物。内側に張り付いていたのか。
It was using it as like a shell.
だったのは初めからバラバラの群生だったからか。今の状態なら。
Oh.
失礼。
この離せこら。
みんな早くこっちに。
そんな場合じゃ。
Oh, damn.
何？今のどうやったの？うわ！やっぱり魔術師がいたの？
動く鎧を操られていたわけではなく、生き物だったのだから。
はあ
2層になって中に何かへばりついてる。これが動く鎧の正体だ。彼らは
What do you
鎧
think,
の中で
Senshi?
互いに手をつないで、その部位の筋肉の役割を果たしていたんだよ。一匹一匹はもろくとも部位を分担し、鎧の骨格を利用すれば
Didn't we say we needed some
人間のような
fat?
動きができる。運悪く産卵の時期に出くわしてしまったようだ。そう、彼らは卵で生まれるんだよ。今まで誰も気づかなかったんだ。みんな魔術で動くただの鎧だ。このことを発表したら教会は実感するだろう。
あいつ本物の話になると早口になるな。
よしなよ。
戦士、鎧は食べられないが、この中身ならどうだ。かも高そうじゃないか。
はあ。わからないもの食べられるはずないでしょ。
まあ、マルシル、どんな食べ物も最初の一口
Yeah, and you could die.
ものだ。
今やる挑戦じゃね
やってみるか。
I'll fix him up.
触る食材だから自信はないが。
と戦士。
猛毒とかだったらどうすんの？
強力な毒を
I
持
love
つ
the sprout.
は殻に隠れたりしないと思うんだよ。
That's fair.
しかしどう
I love the
調
POV
理したの
here.
か。
この裏側。
なるほど、貝か。よし、決まった。鎧から身の部分を外してくれ。
Look at that.
This is like making a crab cake.
溺れた。
Just don't get any shell in there. Any armor.
そもそも砂抜きが必要なのかどうか。
Interesting.
内容物が気になるので内臓は取っておく。油と動く鎧の切り身に薬草と調味料。
Think it's gonna be any good since it's the first time.
蒸す。あとは定番もやっておくか。
I love all the different ways we're preparing them.
だぞ。
I've never really wanted to try.
Like mussels or clams.
Yeah, so I don't think I'd want to try this one.
I'd
I've never
try
had
it.
like the
マルシルはど
desire
れから食べる？
to try it.
じゃあスープ毒消しって食中毒にも効くの？
匂いは悪くない。
ほのかに鉄の匂いが。
レイウス。
He's tasting it.
なんでみんなそんな目で見るんだ。
動く鎧を食べるのはお前の悲願だった
I
の。
love how reluctant even Senshi is.
そうか。
死んだらあいつここに捨てていこう。
Nice.
死んだか。
うまい。あ、なんだこれ、すごく。
Let's go.
最初は味がないかと思ったけど遅れてくる。
食中毒の症状ってどのぐらいで出るの？
Good
もの
question.
による。
こんなものか。悪くないがもっとうまく調理できたな。
Some cocktail
そっちのは
sauce?
どうだ。
まあ薬草と炒めたやつなら大丈夫だろ
どう？
う。まずくはないけど。
どうだマルシル。
キノコっぽい味がする。
だろう。蒸し焼きもうまいことできたな。だいうまいに決まってる。
No.
カビ臭い。
あ
詰め込めてしまった。
Ugh.
しかし長らく迷宮にいるが、
動く鎧が卵から生まれる貝もどきだなんて誰も思わないよな普通。
二人の容体はとても小さく、誰も動く鎧とは思わないんだろう。共に外角を形成すると群れ始めて、動けるようになるとさらに他の軍隊を探して移動して、一列に並んだ鎧は
Maybe we get to see the birth, the very end of this episode.
Do you think that they had to remove the skeletons from the armor before they inhabited it? You know?
一時期あれほど恐ろしかった対象がこんなにうまく脆い魔物だったとは。
あの剣折れちまったんだな。それもらっていけば。
Oh my god.
その剣使うなら呪われてないか鑑定しとこうか。
大丈夫、絶対に呪われてない。俺にはわかる。
何その自信は。
Is he gonna keep it as like a pet, or is he gonna try to eat it?
I think we're keeping it as a pet.
And a friend.
Maybe.
仲間が一匹増えたことを他の3人もない。
Okay, that was Dungeon Meshi Season 1, Episode 3. I'm disappointed that we did not name the species. I imagine that once...
I mean, we discovered it.
Yeah. I imagine that once the rest of the party learns about our additional member, we will deem that member with a name, and that name might be applicable to the rest of the species, but that's where I'm at with it.
In terms of the new member to the party, the fact that we have a narrator actually explicitly bringing it up, and it's not just a little nod comedically at the end there where he keeps something a secret and we never bring it up ever again, it makes me think that there might be some sort of it comes out of the sword at some part, but at some point as a friend, and or having it as a part of the sword has an advantageous, you know, there's something that's going to be an advantage to sword fighting with it. It might be able to control the sword itself if the sword flings out of your hand, or keep connected to your hand, or something
keep connected
like that.
to your hand, or if you're disarmed, it could make its way back to you.
Yeah.
Like a Mjolnir type situation.
Which is really cute to imagine what that might end up being. Because I feel like to have the narrator really, like, bring it up to us at the end, it makes me think that the fact that it's a part of the sword is going to come up more so as, like, this is actually, like, a pet that they're going to have that we're going to see more of.
I thought that it was a really interesting, like, take on, you know, bodiless armor, like haunted armor. I don't think I've ever seen anything close to it. It's usually one of two things, like it's just haunted and it's possessed of, like, in of itself, whether it's from the person who died within that armor being manipulated, or it's just haunted by, you know, a third party, or it's controlled by a mage.
And then a third option is it's a Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah, true.
So this was a new fourth option that we've never thought of before.
I didn't see it coming, but once we started, like, prying our broken sword into it, so growing up, like, we live in an area that's very, like, heavy with seafood, and seafood's very prominent. So, like, husking oysters or, you know, just going crabbing has been my childhood somewhat. So it, like, immediately resonated with me there, and I was like, oh no, that's just me, like, bringing my life into the show. And that's what it was. It was really interesting.
We literally saw, like, oyster on the half shell,
Yeah.
you know? Which, that moment where they're making it in so many different ways, which we appreciate just for the factor of, like, the fact that this is, like, cooking in anime. It's exciting that they were trying this new monster out in a few different forms.
Yeah.
And a few different dishes, which just makes me happy in general. but there was consistency with factors that we've learned about characters. Like last episode, we learned that Senshi basically cannot feel heat in his fingertips. And so he picks up the shell in his hands and hands it to Laios. And Laios is like, ah, but then we look over and Senshi's just like comfortably holding it and eating out of it.
Yeah.
Which I liked the consistency there, that like it makes me think of like those hands that he has and their resistance to heat.
It's just, that's not like anime being played up though. That's legitimately real. Like I have friends who are chefs and it's ridiculous to see what they can handle in terms of heat, and it's just nothing to them.
Like certain mugs we have in the house, if I'm like making tea or something, they will get way too hot. I can't even hold them. Even by the handle.
I like how valuable Senshi seems to be in terms of fighting too. Like it's not like he's just the chef.
He's just the chef.
Yeah.
That we're having to protect. No, I agree with that. Every member of this squad can fight. Okay, Marcille has a little sprout.
Mm-hmm.
I like just noticed that, I guess, in this episode.
On her staff at the end.
On her staff. And I'm like, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Have you seen like people can get the little sprouts to go on like their headphones?
No.
It's so cute.
Would you, if you were a member of the party at the moment, who would you feel like you'd be? I think probably Marcille for you.
Probably. I would be thinking at least that I might be a burden. I might slow you down a little bit, and I might be wary to eat the weird things that you find.
It seems like you have quite a grip on Laios as a character, though. Like, in terms of, like, his mindset of, like, oh, yes, that means we can eat them. Fuck yeah.
I do love a good, curious, excitable character. I feel like recently, whenever we've had a character that is more curious or more exaggerated in their excitability, it's normally like a female character.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of rather refreshing to see a male character that is endearing in his curiosity and how much he's passionate about something that other people might think is a little weird.
Yeah. I don't imagine we're going to be doing this too often, but I really love the idea of finding ingredients nobody's tried before and trying them out in different ways and being able to spread information that nobody's heard before and, you know, being able to help other people. Like Laios says, like if we're able to tell people that we figured out what these things are and how to defeat them. Creating
your own pages in the guidebook, creating your own cookbook, if you will. I mean, the fact that we are in 3 episodes in and each episode has kind of been like, remember, we can resurrect people, like, we can bring people back to life if they die. So it makes you feel a little bit better as a viewer about the adventurous idea of trying new foods.
Do you think we've seen past instances and heard about them of these characters dying and having to be resurrected? Do you think we're ever going to see a death in current time to one of our party members?
I would like to, purely because I want to see what the spell's like, what are the actual rules to it, because like we talked about when we saw that corpse fall out of that plant, we only asked ourselves if we could.
Yeah.
But why couldn't we? Why didn't we? When we're obviously being told now that at least 2 of our characters have at least died once. Because they use the language, my first death.
Yeah.
Which could evoke that it is just like the first time they die and then the end of their natural life would be their second death. Or it could imply that they have died more than that.
Yeah.
And that brings up an idea to me about this world of how old do the people get? What is the lifespan if you can have like first deaths? Is there still like a certain lifespan per, like, I don't know, like race?
Do you think that somebody who is younger has a higher chance of being brought back than somebody older, you know?
What are the parameters behind that?
I thought we got an interesting piece of information about the castle, and it was like completely coded in gold.
Gold strippers.
Yeah. That's an interesting job. It reminds me of like copper strippers.
I wonder if they also were brought back to life, or if Fallon prioritized Laios and then they just dipped out of them, dipped out of there by themselves. I mean, we do have a line of them being like, we can't turn back now because it's just the two of us.
We're not strong enough to get back.
We aren't strong enough, but like, what if they literally just
We talked about that
left?
last episode, like the idea of why would you move on with a group like the people that we met last episode? Why would they join us if they couldn't be able to survive on their own, you know?
Mhm.
But it seems to have worked out for Laios and Fallon.
Right. One of the things that made me really happy about the living armor was just the imagery of it made me feel like almost a nostalgia of different video games combined together, of gargoyles, or you're in a castle and it could be a gargoyle or it could be like an suit of armor, and you walk into this chamber and everything's good for a certain amount of moments and a certain amount of steps, and then suddenly the battle activates and the timer starts, or whatever it is, whatever type of game you're playing.
I wonder if now that dungeon's going to be harder for the next group of people to come in, because okay, what they're all protecting the door that leads to the one protecting the eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've effectively taken the eggs, put them at the first door, and when you open it, all you're going to see is a wall full of. Well, granted, they could probably just readjust and go back to what they did before.
And like, when does that hatch? Like, we had said that they were so heavily protecting it because of the fact that they might have just laid the eggs. So also, who's gonna find this room again? We don't know how frequented this area is.
I like the idea that typically they not at all interact this way because they don't have the eggs, and they'd only start to, be defensive if you approached them first.
Mm-hmm.
It adds up in the explanation of what they really were.
That's true. And the fact that when we fought them prior, only one of them seemingly activated, and this time all of them did.
I feel odd watching the show in here. I don't know if it's because that we've picked this show out and it isn't from a poll, or because it's the nature of the show, but it makes me want to watch the show like on a couch with a blanket on like a Sunday morning.
So far, I'm really glad that we picked this for ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny because in my free time, obviously I don't watch anime anymore because we might want to watch it on the channel. And so I watch cooking reality TV because I'm not a huge fan of like the overly dramatic reality TV that's out there. I mean, cooking shows can get a bit dramatic depending on which one you're watching, but that is like one of the things I gravitate toward to have on in like the background or when I am watching TV. And to see cooking and anime together makes me happy because I enjoy both. I want to see some baking. Can we bake in this dungeon as well?
That's a good point. I mean,
we saw the tart, so like I guess that counts.
I don't want to
like more
doubt Senshi's skills, but he does seem more of a cook than a baker.
Let's bake some bread.
You said that you watched a bit of Food Wars. I am exceedingly curious about what that is like after watching this show, because I didn't even consider what cooking and food and anime, what that could be shown as, but I am extremely curious now.
I remember when I brought it in before we started this in like episode 1 intro, I was like, the only thing I have to call upon for expectations is the fact that I've seen a little bit of Food Wars.
Is it similar?
I wonder how that will affect, like, if that will, like, be relatable at all. Did you ask me if it is?
Yeah.
It's pretty different.
Okay.
Not like the cooking aspect, but the after you are digesting or eating is a little bit different.
Okay.
In how it's portrayed. But fanatics of food and trying new things, there obviously correlation there. There's definitely relatable aspects in terms of characters that are really excited over food.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe someday you will see some of Food Wars.
Interesting. That's all I have. I feel like I'm just like enjoying the episode. I don't know what.
I know what else
to
say. So when we were going over the book, at first, and we were talking about like, oh, what's on the like earlier levels. We go over, you know, the plants and stuff, and then we go over to living armor, and then we go to the demi-humans.
Ooh.
So
next
that
episode?
might mean that next episode, that's what's gonna happen.
I'm nervous to see how it's approached.
I really don't feel comfortable with the idea of it feels cannibalistic.
I don't know. It
In
depends.
some regard.
It depends how they approach it. You know, it depends what their perspective is and what the world like flushes out to be.
I
Pun
think
intended.
the world itself would probably have the perspective that that is a no-go.
Yeah.
Like maybe don't do that.
Hmm.
But we will see, because that's going to be my guess or my theory of what we tackle next episode.
Interesting.
I wonder what food we will make.
All right. You good?
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.